The Trojan horse, the greatest deception in history. For 10 long years, the armies of Greece stood before the towering walls of Troy. They came with thousands of warriors, legendary heroes, and the hope of ending the war in a matter of weeks. Instead, they found themselves trapped in a conflict that seemed impossible to win. Year after year, battles were fought. Countless lives were lost. The greatest champions of the ancient world rose and fell on the blood-soaked plains outside the city. Yet Troy remained unconquered. Its massive stone walls stood unbroken, protecting one of the richest and most powerful cities of the Bronze Age. Then, almost without warning, everything changed. One morning, the Trojans looked out from their walls and saw something they had not seen in a decade. Silence. The Greek camps were empty. The ships had disappeared beyond the horizon. Only one strange object remained on the deserted shoreline: a colossal wooden horse. No one inside Troy could have imagined that this mysterious structure would become one of the most famous symbols in human history. Whether the story is fact, legend, or something in between, the tale of the Trojan horse has survived for more than 3,000 years and continues to capture the imagination of people around the world. The origins of the war begin with a single woman. Her name was Helen, remembered throughout Greek mythology as the most beautiful woman who had ever lived. She was married to Menelaus, the king of Sparta. But during a diplomatic visit, the Trojan prince Paris brought Helen back to Troy. Ancient sources disagree about what truly happened. Some claimed Helen willingly left with Paris. Others insisted she had been abducted. Whatever the truth may have been, the kings of Greece viewed it as an unforgivable insult. Bound by an oath to defend Helen's marriage, they united under the leadership of King Agamemnon and launched an enormous military expedition across the Aegean Sea. Among the warriors were names that would echo throughout history. Achilles, the greatest fighter of his age; Ajax, unmatched in strength; and Odysseus, whose greatest weapon was not his sword, but his mind. Together, they surrounded Troy and prepared for what they believed would be a swift victory. Instead, the siege stretched into its 10th year. The walls of Troy resisted every assault. Direct attacks failed. Supplies ran low. Both armies suffered unimaginable losses. The war had reached a stalemate. For the Greeks, victory by force no longer seemed possible. It was then that Odysseus conceived an idea unlike anything the ancient world had ever witnessed. If Troy could not be defeated through strength, perhaps it could be defeated through belief. The Greeks dismantled their camp, burned what remained, and sailed away from the shore. To anyone watching from the city walls, it appeared that the long war had finally come to an end. But appearances can be deceiving. Hidden behind a nearby island, the Greek fleet waited in silence for darkness to fall. Before leaving, they constructed an enormous wooden horse. Inside its hollow body waited a carefully selected group of elite warriors. Beside the horse stood a single man named Sinon. His task would determine the fate of an entire civilization. When the Trojans ventured outside their gates, they found the abandoned horse exactly where the Greeks had left it. Confusion spread quickly. Some believed it was a sacred offering dedicated to Athena. Others warned that no gift from an enemy should ever be trusted. Among the skeptics was the Trojan priest Laocoon. His warning would become one of the most famous lines ever attributed to the ancient world: "Beware of Greeks bearing gifts." To demonstrate his suspicion, he hurled a spear into the side of the wooden horse. The impact echoed through the hollow interior. According to later accounts, strange sounds emerged from within. Before anyone could investigate further, an event occurred that seemed almost supernatural. Two enormous sea serpents emerged from the sea and attacked Laocoon and his sons. The people of Troy watched helplessly as they were killed. To the Trojans, this was no coincidence. It appeared to be a sign from the gods themselves. Sinon then stepped forward. He claimed the Greeks had abandoned him as a sacrifice. He insisted the wooden horse had been built to honor Athena and would ensure Troy's eternal protection if it were brought safely within the city walls. His story was exactly what the exhausted people wanted to believe. Against the advice of the few who still doubted, the gates of Troy were opened. The enormous horse was dragged through the streets as crowds celebrated what they believed was the end of 10 years of suffering. The music echoed through the streets. Wine flowed without restraint. For the first time in a decade, there was no fear of attack. As night deepened, exhaustion overcame the city. One by one, the lights faded. The streets fell silent. Then, beneath the cover of darkness, the wooden horse came to life. The hidden Greek warriors emerged without a sound. They eliminated the guards protecting the gates. Signals were sent across the sea. Waiting beyond the horizon, the Greek fleet immediately returned. Thousands of soldiers entered the sleeping city before anyone realized what was happening. By the time alarms rang through the streets, it was already too late. Buildings burned. Families fled in terror. The defenders fought desperately, but confusion spread faster than any organized resistance could form. As dawn broke over the city, Troy had fallen. After surviving 10 years of open warfare, one of the greatest cities of the ancient world was destroyed in a single night. Not by overwhelming force, but by deception. Yet one question has endured for centuries. Did the Trojan horse really exist? The answer remains uncertain. The earliest surviving accounts come from ancient poets such as Homer, whose works blended history with mythology. For generations, many scholars believed Troy itself had never existed. That changed in the 19th century when archaeologists uncovered the remains of an ancient city in what is now northwestern Turkey. The evidence confirmed that a powerful city once stood there and that it had been destroyed during the Late Bronze Age. But no trace of a giant wooden horse has ever been discovered. Some historians argue that the horse was never intended to be taken literally. It may have symbolized a siege engine capable of breaching the city's defenses. Others suggest it represented an earthquake, an event associated with Poseidon, whose sacred symbol was the horse. The true meaning may never be known. Perhaps that uncertainty is precisely why the legend has survived for so many centuries. Whether history or mythology, the Trojan horse has become far more than a story. It is a timeless reminder that civilizations are not always defeated by the enemies outside their walls. Sometimes they fall because they choose to trust the wrong thing. Even today, the term Trojan horse lives on in the digital age, describing malicious software disguised as something harmless. The technology has changed. The lesson has not. The greatest threats are often the ones that appear to be gifts. And sometimes, the most dangerous enemy is the one we willingly invite inside.